the real place to start today is Dwayne Haskins. It sounds like he's going to be falling a little bit, which is an interesting place to be for my quarterback number one, that it's possible he could fall into the second round at this point in time.
Why?
I don't expect it.
Why is that?
There's just a lot of talk that he doesn't get rid of the ball quick enough. He only played 1 year at Ohio State, but they're not using that against Kyler Murray. So it's a really interesting thing that teams aren't in love with him, but you can find teams who really love Daniel Jones, who really love Drew Lock, who are just not as good of quarterbacks. So you find a player who most would say could be the number one overall pick falling into late first, early second round. Still, it'd be shocking, but it's hard to really pinpoint where Dwayne Haskins is going to go in this week's draft.
Are you surprised that a team like the Bengals isn't necessarily interested in Haskins, given, that Dalton's there, but I mean, that's some of the places one of the places that people think he may end up.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have made some pretty poor choices because of Andy Dalton, passing on Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr, some of those kind of quarterbacks. And it sounds like Daniel Jones has really drawn their eye. So a week ago, people thought the Giants would be able to get Daniel Jones at number 17, the pick they got from the Browns for Odell Beckham Jr. Now there is talk that Daniel Jones will go number 5 overall in a trade-up, someone coming up to get him. For me, looking at his tape and how he plays, I don't understand it. For me, he'd be a second or a third-round pick. But it looks like he is riding the David Cutcliffe, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning bandwagon all the way into an early first-round pick.
Wow.
And that could include the Cincinnati Bengals at 11.
All right, let me go back to the Haskins things because I'm intrigued by that it still only takes one team. You're talking about if he's falling from maybe the first through fifth pick all the way down into the third round, you're getting a whole bunch of teams falling away from him at the same time, which seems, I don't want to say ludicrous, it seems hard to believe that many teams will think alike on this matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's interesting is if the top 5 teams pass on him, when can I get a steal? Could I possibly take somebody in this great defensive draft and then trade back up into the late first round or get him at the early second round? So GMs start to get a little greedy when it comes to the draft. So if they think Dwayne Haskins should have been a top 5, 10 pick, and all of a sudden he starts to slide, well, do the Bengals think they can get somebody else at 11 and then maybe trade up and get Dwayne Haskins? Or does another team look at it that way? I think you just get GMs overthinking the process.
Yeah. All right, if I'm a GM and I'm 1 through 10 and I need a quarterback, I'm taking Dwayne Haskins. Dave, what are you doing? 1 through 10.
Unless I'm building an offense around Kyler Murray, I'm taking Dwayne Haskins. And I think that's what Arizona is doing. They're planning on building the offense around Kyler Murray, and I think that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
I think that the guy that's the prototypical, for lack of a better term, quarterback is Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
And 50 touchdowns, even though it's 1 year, it's still 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's no Florida Atlantics on that schedule.
Yeah, it is 50 touchdowns. And when you look at Kyler Murray, we talk about Daniel Jones kind of riding the Manning bandwagon. Kyler Murray is riding the Baker Mayfield bandwagon. He is not Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield can play in a ton of systems. Baker Mayfield has accuracy. He has all of that going on. And then you have Kyler Murray, who is athletic, exciting, all of those kind of things, is accurate, but doesn't have the pinpoint accuracy Baker Mayfield does. Dwayne Haskins would be my number 1 quarterback.
I don't recall the exact year, but Doug Lesmerises wrote this week about the lack of Big Ten quarterbacks who've been taken in the first round. What was that number? How far back did he go? 30 years, maybe?
He went into the 80s. I think the last one, was it Jeff George? Or no, it was
Kerry Collins.
Kerry Collins. Yep.
That is so hard to believe that there hasn't been a first-round Big Ten quarterback in all those years.
And there's people who think Big Ten is defense and running the ball. But when you watch Dwayne Haskins beat Drew Brees' record, all of a sudden you really have to understand this is a real quarterback playing in a real system under Ryan Day and Urban Meyer last year that made all of the throws. You look at his wide receivers coming out, they're going to make some impacts. It doesn't make sense to me that he would fall. But
Yeah.
again, people get so focused on big arms and tall quarterbacks. Dwayne Haskins has both of those, just not to the extreme of some of the other guys.
It's just hard to believe that all of the GMs are going to fall into that same area where they all believe the same thing at the same time about Haskins. All right,